We've got, this will be almost, I don't want to say the opposite, but a very sort of, maybe opposite in a multidimensional space version of the last presentation that I did for you, in which I stood up here and I talked in a PowerPoint, and it seemed like it was somewhat organized and logical. This isn't going to go that way. This presentation is the result of sort of a history of this program where, at one point the LTSI, in its early days, was very much all about tools. It was like, here's how you use Photoshop, and here's how you use, and that's what we did. And over time, it evolved to being much more about learning theory and how you structure your class and the hands-on stuff that we've been doing over the last couple days. As a result, everything which is here's the technology that you need to literally get hands-on, here's how you do this and the tool you use to do this, has gotten kind of scrunched into this 1 hour and a half bit. So instead of doing a presentation in any kind of formal sense, what we're going to do is work our way through a list. So it would be very good for you to follow along. So if you go into Nika and you click under the presentation resources for today, you will see there is a link to a Google document. I'm going to give you a second to get to that because I just want to make sure you get to that. What I suspect is going to happen is that some of you are going to be totally into what we're talking about and just following the bits and pieces, and others of you are going to tune us out at various points and just follow the document and look at the things that you're kind of into learning about and ignore what we're talking about up here. We are not, as I said, going to be presenting in any formal sense. We're going to go through this document and say, this is what this is what this is. We're going to demo a couple of things that we think are really important in some sense. Let me switch this back, sorry. So the way the document is organized, it should look like this: resources and links for the LTSI Social Media and Technology Tools talk. Is there questions? If you can't get to it, raise your hand and one of the LTSI people will help you find it.
So this is a document we put together overall this time?
Yes, and it's also cribbed from another list that another guy put together, and we pulled things we liked and didn't like. And so, as you can see, if you're looking at it now, it just goes on and on and on and on. And what we did was, first of all, we put together two lists that we're going to talk about right here at the beginning, called the Just Works list and the App Comfortable list. What we did, the three of us, we said, let's look at our laptops. Let's look at what we do. What are the apps that we use most often? So let's spend a little time with you talking about those. And that's this list that's up at the top here. Then, what we did was took this list of organized sort of categories that we pulled from the link that's at the top of the document. We called it. Some of the language that describes what they are is actually not ours, so don't blame us for what's next to some of the words. And then what we did was we put little gold stars next to the apps that we thought were most useful. So if you are interested in that category, we would recommend you take a look at the things that have the gold stars first. Anything that is not gold starred, it's like buyer beware is the way I would put it. Some of those links may be dead. Some of them maybe ad kind of crap. All these apps come and go so often, it's really hard to kind of keep track of what's there or not. So we wanted to make sure we just kind of hit the big ones for you. So the plan today is we're going to go through those lists at the top, and then if we have time, we're going to hit the gold star items and just talk about what each of them is and why you might want to use it. Does that make sense? All right. So first off, are you on laptop?
Okay.
Andy.
All right.
My name is.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Andy. So I'm going to start off with an application called Jing, which allows you to capture your computer screen and easily share it with other people. Now, there are paid applications like Camtasia that you can do this with that have a lot of power and can do a lot of things. Jing does these things really quickly and with very little effort on your part. So this is an example of one that I created for a class on how to use mesh headings in PubMed, right? So just something I needed to capture. And so I'm going to begin. See if I skip ahead, you'll see that the screen's moving and you're seeing my cursor move around. So all I did to do this was to download a free application. I just went to the link on your thing, jing.com, or you Google Jing. And if you notice in my screen, because I've got Jing running, I've got a little yellow sun in the right upper right-hand corner of the screen. And if I hover my mouse over that, I get the little crosshairs. And you see these little crosshairs here? I just click on that, and it gives me this where I can select the portion of my screen that I want to capture. And I just highlight it. Right? And then I click here on capture a video. Here on the bottom, it looks like a little movie reel. I go, it's going to count me down. 3, 2, 1. Okay, now I'm capturing my screen. So if I were to go back up to here and go to Google, right? I've captured all of that as it changes to LTSI 2013. Of course, I didn't hear. Learning Technology Summer Institute. Okay, and then when I'm done, I click stop. I click finish. It's going to do this. It's going to say, I'm going to call it LTSI 13. I give it a name, and then I click on this button, share via screencast.com. It's going to do this. It's going to prepare to upload. So I'm going to upload the file, and then it's going to be up on screencast.com where you've got a link, and you just put that link in your Nika site, ask your students to go watch it. They click on it, and they watch your thing. It's that simple. It's all free. I do view on screencast.com.
Marty, any questions?
Yeah. Number one, why do you want to do this? What's the difference between this and cutting and pasting a link?
And what?
Well, no. I actually captured my screen. It created a video of what I was doing on the screen.
So if you want to show students something that is on your screen, you want to show them a video, a picture, you want to show them how to do something. You want to demo something that you would show something on a projected screen to your students.
Video.
This is capturing all of that as a video, putting it online and making a link to it so you can send your students to watch what you do on your screen in a recorded way.
And in fact,
There's no limit to how much you can do.
there's a 5-minute limit for free. If you give them money, you can do more. You can do more with it. But for free, I just try to think in 5-minute chunks, man. I figured that works. 5 minutes is enough. Any video like this shouldn't probably be any longer than 5 minutes. People tune it out after that anyway. Just chunk out your stuff into 5-minute pieces.
And in our list kind of way of doing this, I just want to be clear, we're not trying to show you literally how to do what he's doing up here. We just want you to kind of note that looks cool so that when you break up later, you can spend some time with your consultant really doing it.
What was the question? I didn't hear.
So what Marty was asking was, why would you want to do this? Right? And the answer is, if most of what we all do in a classroom is showing our students something that's on the screen, it might be a PowerPoint or it might be a website or a video, this captures all of that and saves it as a video. So for asynchronous viewing of our content, this is really useful. Jing, the paid version, I think is what, $20?
Not much.
So even the paid one that has the unlimited length, Steve, is like $20. And the alternative to it, if you look under the app, the lower part of your list, the app Comfortable, there are 2 links, one to ScreenFlow and one to Camtasia. ScreenFlow and Camtasia are the more high-end versions of that. So they cost a little bit more, but they do a lot more. So you can annotate the video, and you can zoom in on things, and you can do some actually pretty cool high-end stuff. You don't need to be a programmer. I mean, if you know how to use, any kind of video and photo editing applications, you can do Camtasia and you can ScreenFlow. Camtasia and ScreenFlow.
On the left side.
They're on the second list that's there that says App Comfortable. They are sort of the App Comfortable version. So Jing is for someone who just wants it simple, easy, doesn't want, is not really comfortable with apps a whole lot. If you want to get deeper, use ScreenFlow or Camtasia. ScreenFlow is Mac, Camtasia is PC. Yes?
When I show my students something on the Common Core standards, I want to show them the main screen, and I want to click on it and show them the next screen and the next screen. Does this do that?
Yeah.
It
That's
captures,
why I click through.
if it's on your screen, it captures
It's
it.
capturing whatever you're doing on your screen. It captures all of it. And the main advantage of this over Camtasia is that this does the hosting too. It's like you don't have to worry about where the file's going. It does. It puts it online for you. I use it for quick and dirty things. Sometimes when I'm sitting on the reference desk, if I need to show somebody how to do something and they're on the phone or they're on chat, I'll just really quick make a video and make them within like 2 minutes. I can just create these videos and throw them up.
Can you break out with you?
Yeah, I'll show you how to do that. Yeah.
Can you put audio on it?
Yeah, I was talking. It records your voice. It uses the
Yeah,
microphone.
sorry, I think I didn't take an audio.
Yeah, the audio in here is not working, so we're trying to get these speakers going. Yeah, it'll record what you're saying or what's on the computer even, too. I know, it's awesome. Yeah, I'm sorry, there's one question that we were holding on.
Can you upload that to YouTube so that you get the closed captioning? Because it's got to be
No.
ADA compliant, right?
Yes and no. So you can save it, right? You can download it.
You
with
can
the Pro
download it
version.
and save it and then re-upload
And then upload it to YouTube. ScreenFlow, which is what I use, has an automatic YouTube upload built into it.
Screencast-O-Matic does the same thing, and you get 15 minutes for free. It's a little clunkier, but you can do it through
Okay,
YouTube.
that's
very
good. I'll write that down.
Screencast-O-Matic. All right. Okay.
This ADA compliance concern is making me really tentative and or nervous in terms of all the content I want to convey and making sure that any videos are closed captioned.
So this is probably going to contradict what you're going to hear later when we have our panel on this, but I think you're better off putting up something than nothing. If you're going to let the ADA compliance prevent you from actually doing what your job's supposed to do, I think that's worse than just putting something up. So ideally, we would have everything closed captioned. We would have everything ADA compliant. Let's try to get as close as we can to that. YouTube does do automatic closed captioning, which is awesome. At Miami, and Gail can talk about this later, Gail's office and the folks over in Alt have actual software and people who will help you do closed captioning for your videos. And so you can take your videos over to their office. Is that right? That's right. I mean, Jason was talking to me about that yesterday. Matt was talking to me. Right? That's the thumbs up from Matt. So if you're letting ADA compliance concern you, go to Matt's office, go to the Alt people, and they'll hook you up.
Okay.
One more thing. Can you embed what you record into PowerPoint? Or is this more about capturing the PowerPoint and embedding it into the class?
What would you use to narrate some PowerPoint?
I think this is more about capturing PowerPoint to show the video of it. You could embed this in a PowerPoint theoretically, but it's tough for me to understand what would be a story in which you wanted to. I mean, I guess if you were,
15 minutes, too.
I mean, there could be one. Yeah, you could, in theory.
But there are other apps that we could do that would be better to embed. If you wanted to have a video or animation or something.
You can embed a Screencast-O-Matic into your PowerPoint just like any other link, and so you click on it and it'll come up there. So yeah, I don't know. This is not exactly the same technology. This is Flash, isn't it?
Yeah, this is creating Flash videos.
So
yeah.
that sometimes causes trouble with something.
It does cause trouble.
The regional people said that they didn't like us to use Jing because it's not as good.
All right.
They had trouble with it. So they suggest Screencast-O-Matic, but that's just their.
Add that to the list.
All right, so we have a huge list. We got through one, so I'm going to go really fast, okay? Jing is for capturing your computer screen and voice. SoundCloud.com is for recording audio only, okay? It's a website. It's also on all of your mobile devices, okay? Create an account on SoundCloud. You have to go through that whole process. There's an upload button. Then you see a record button. You hit record, and then you start recording. Hi, I'm Jason. I'm recording this right now. Hit stop. Upload your recording. You give it a title. You can give it a tag. You can give it a type. Give it a spoken. You can make it public or private. I would recommend, since if you are going to use something like this, if you want to use little bits and pieces of audio in different types of formats in different parts of your class, you can enable downloads. Then you can download this audio file as a WAV file and then embed it elsewhere. So I'm just going to enable that. Save. Okay, so now if I hit play, record, and then you would start recording. Hi, I'm Jason. I'm recording this right now. Okay. So, yeah. Yes.
Once you download this to the cloud, can you erase it? I don't want some of my assignments up there for all eternity for my counseling class.
You can make it private and then only share those links with certain people.
Can it make it go away at the end of the class after I finish grading it?
Well, you can just hit the trash can there and it deletes.
Even after you've saved it and all of that.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, anytime. Just the same way with any cloud documents.
Okay,
If it's
that's
in
all I need to know.
your space, that's the button that makes it go away.
Okay.
This has a share button. When we talk about social media, all these things are relatively connected. You can quickly share it to all these social networks. You can grab a widget and embed it like you would a YouTube video, or you can just download the file and use it elsewhere.
And by widget, what he means is it gives you a little snippet of code that you could put inside of a web page, and you put inside of Nika, and it takes that SoundCloud file and literally sticks it inside of Nika, as opposed to people clicking on a link and going out to SoundCloud. Yes,
When
sorry.
we work with our gurus, will they tell us how to embed things into other things?
Yes, yeah. So just tell your guru you want to know how to embed things for your Nika site. Yes. There was another question. I remember there was another hand. Did I miss? We good? All right.
All right, so it's me again. Here, okay. I'm going to really quickly show you a service called Join Me. We've got on campus WebEx. You can do sort of video conferencing. With WebEx, though, you have to have everybody who wants to join your screen has to download a client. And sometimes that can be difficult to have happen. And if you just really want to do this quick off, like I showed you Jing, it's quick. Now Screencast-O-Matic looks like maybe a better solution. I won't check it out. I think it looks great. But I'm going to... So all I did was go to joinme.com, create a little account, and download a little thing. And what it does is when it launches, it's going to connect me. And see, I had to update, of course. That had to happen when I'm talking to three people. What it's going to do is it's going to generate a link. And all I have to do, if somebody wants to join me and have a synchronous video conferencing where somebody's watching what I'm doing, watching my screen at the same time that I'm doing it, is send them the link. So if I do share, when it does its thing, now you see this link up here on the top that says, join me / can't really read it, but the little link on the top, join me / 952-493-182. If you were to go to there, you would see my screen. That's all you have to do is go to that link. So you just send somebody quick the link. Like if you're teaching an online class and somebody's having difficulty doing something that's related to the computer, and you needed just to really quickly help them through the process, you could just you start up Join Me, you send them that link, they're going to go there, and they're going to see what you're doing. So if you were to go there right now, you'd see my screen. I'm going to leave it running. So it's 952-493-182. I'll write it up here. I'll tweet it or write it up there. So I'm going to let my screen run. And if you have the free version, you're limited to 10 simultaneous users. If you pay them, you get 200. So, and it's not all that much to pay them. We've been using this to answer chat reference questions. So when they get to be complex, like a complex reference question, we'll send them this and then people can see it, which I think is not only applicable to answering library reference questions, it could be pretty much anything. So
this is a quick and dirty way to show your desktop computer to someone remotely. You have something on your computer, you want to show it to a student, you want to show it to a colleague, you're working on some research, you want to share what you're doing, join.me. That's all you got to do is go to join.me and you can do that. Then there are more complex ways to do this type of conferencing and relationships. Andy mentioned WebEx. Miami University has a contract with WebEx. WebEx is a business level conferencing software platform. You could theoretically run your entire online class using WebEx. That could be your platform. We were talking, Mary Jane and I were talking yesterday about what is a platform. Platforms, right, are these sort of contexts, they're ecosystems for doing what you want to do. You can use Nika for an online class. You could use Google Docs for an online class. You could also use WebEx. So what WebEx is high-end video conferencing and desktop sharing. So if you go to WebEx, oh, one way, sorry.
No, I think it's this one needs to
Oh, there it came back. If you go to miamioh.webex.com, is that correct?
I'm sorry.
It's not coming back
There it goes.
Awesome. So Miami OH, the link's up there. We also have the link in the document. .webex.com. It asks for your Miami login. You log in with your Miami ID and password, and you can set up a full high-end video conferencing session where you can share your desktop. It's got a whiteboard. It's got file sharing. It's got chat. It records the entire thing. It even has built-in Skype functionality, voice over IP, so you could just use your audio on your computer, your students could use their audio, and you can actually talk to them. So you could have 40, 50, I don't think we have a limit on our WebEx license, although I've never pushed it, but I know you could easily do that many people who are participating in this WebEx session, where you show what you're doing on your desktop, you show PowerPoint presentations, you share files. You can run a distance-based synchronous event using WebEx. We could spend an entire session on that. I put that in the high-end version of what Andy's talking about here, but that's an option for you. What I've just gone on and done here in WebEx was set up an instant meeting. So you can set up an instant class, or you can actually schedule a class. You can work with your guru. They're going to show you how to use WebEx if that's something you'd like to spend some time doing today. Next up, we've got Log Me In. I'm only going to mention it given our time constraints here, but for a lot of us, if we're traveling on the road, we want to access our desktop computer from being on the road. Log Me In is a fantastic tool to do that. What Log Me In lets you do is open a web browser, so you're at a conference, or you got your laptop, or honestly, like you're sitting on an airplane, you pull up your browser, you pull up your laptop, and you type in an address, and in your browser, you will see the screen of your computer in your office. And when you move your mouse, it moves the mouse of the computer on your office. And when you do applications, you see it all within the browser. You remotely control your computer. So you can access your computer anywhere you are, use it, transfer files. It's as if you're just kind of like transporting your computer. And not only that, but it's got an iPhone app and an Android app and an iPad app, so you can run your computer on your iPad, right? And it's like having a little Windows computer. You were going to say something, Dan?
So is this like PC Anywhere and Go to My PC?
Yes, exact same thing. Log Me In is just like PC Anywhere or Go to My PC. They all do the same sorts of things.
But this one does those other apps, though.
Yeah, it's not necessarily one over the other. So Log Me In is the link right after Join Me here. That's Log Me In. Log Me In has a free version and a paid version. It just depends how many computers you want to hook up to it.
What is my name?
Log Me In is super duper secure. It's business grade security. It's HTTPS, all encrypted crap. Yeah.
Can you access any program then on your computer, like SPSS?
Oh, yeah.
If it's a network program that's not actually sitting in your computer?
Absolutely. So if you can run SPSS in your office, you can run SPSS on your iPad. Yeah.
So what are you putting in the browser to get to your computer? What are you putting
It's just an address. It's like a web address. It's specific to you. So
when you put in MU Ohio or what
no, so the way it would work would be, you would go to logmein.com, and there would be a login there. Yeah, and this isn't going to work for me because this actually is my office computer, so I'm not going to be able to do that. But you would go to the login page here. You would type your login, which I don't even have in 1Password here at the moment because I don't do it this way. But you would type it in, and then it will give you a list of computers that are your computers. it'll look something like this. So I've actually got the app running in here, so it's slightly different. But it gives you a list of your computers, like in this case, here's one of my computers, and you would just click on it and you would go to it, is how it would work. So, you know, that's all I can tell you until you actually set up an account, because what you type in is really specific to you. But you just type in a web address and it takes you to your computer. All right, next up. Who's up? It's me. Wunderlist. So we get a lot of questions about to-do lists. There are as many to-do lists out there as, you know, there's a new one every day. Everyone's got their opinion about what the best to-do list is. I am not going to say that my choices are the best. They're just sort of the things I've been into. I was very into Remember the Milk for a while. That's actually a really handy one that I like. But lately, my to-do list of choice is Wunderlist. Do you guys use Wunderlist? I like Wunderlist quite a bit. Wunderlist it's just a handy, literally it's just a to-do list. It works exactly like you think. You add things to it. It goes into, you can star things or prioritize them and put them into folders. One of the things I like most about Wunderlist, though, is it integrates really well with other applications. So when you install Wunderlist, you can also install an add-on to your browser so that, notice when I go to YouTube, there's a button here. This is a terrible projector. Believe it or not, that says Add to Wunderlist. So when I go to YouTube, there's now a button in YouTube that says Add to Wunderlist. So when I see a video, I can just click a button, and it actually will remind me and create a link to add it to Wunderlist. Right? So here's the shark and duck video. It's all set, and I just hit save, and it adds it to my list. Or even better than that, the plugin works within your email. So Patricia McNabb just sent me this email. I don't even know what this is about. I probably should pull it up in front of everybody.
Anyway, that's to get the milk.
But it's all blurry. But notice I got this button here that says Add to Wunderlist. So my Miami Gmail now has a button that says Add to Wunderlist. So when I get an email and I want to add it to my to-do list, all I do is hit that button. It adds it into my to-do list with a link. It puts a link to the Gmail email into my Wunderlist. And now when I open Wunderlist, say on my iPad or on my phone, I can actually click on it. It takes me right to that email, right in my to-do list. Awesome, isn't it? So I love Wunderlist. But there's other ones like it. Happy to talk about those things. Next up, I got one more. All right, 1Password. All right, this is another one that can get kind of more complicated than you may want to go into right now, so I'm going to just demo it fast and quick. In this world of multiple logins and hacks, if there's one security thing that we could argue to you right now, and I would just want to infuse in your brains, do not use the same password for all the websites you go to. Do not use your kids' names, your dog's names, your birthday, your phone number, your address, your parents' name, the school you went to, the street you live on, right? I've probably hit a third of your passwords here in some form or another here, right? Birthdays. These things are imminently hackable. So the thing you really want to do is essentially have random passwords for all the places you go. The problem is, how the hell do you remember them? Because, oh my God, right? I mean, star plus, caret, blah, blah, blah. So there are tools that, honestly, we think are, I think this is an indispensable tool. I probably use this more than anything else we're going to show here today. 1Password is an application that sits on your computer, and whenever you set up a new password, A, it'll create a random one for you, but more importantly, B, it remembers the name and password for every website you log into. So, next time you go back to it, all you have to do is type in your single password, your 1Password, that unlocks the thing on your computer, and it goes and finds your crazy password, pulls it in, and puts it on the website. So for example, if I go to, so Dropbox, which is what I'm going to go to here in a minute. So if I go to Dropbox, here's the login. It's all set for it. do you want to sign in? I click on sign in. I don't know what my password is. I hit a little keystroke thing at the bottom of my computer here. I notice this thing comes up on the left here and it says, do you want the Dropbox password? And I'm like, yeah, I do. And it just puts it in there for me. The reason it didn't ask for my single one password is because I just used this like 30 seconds ago. So if you don't use it for a certain period of time, it actually makes you put that single password again. But the bottom line is you remember a single master password. It remembers all your other passwords for you, and it automatically fills in web pages when you go to them. It syncs with all of your computers, so your home computer and your office computer and your iPhone and your Android and iPad all get synced together. Peter?
And if you're not sold on this by this point, I use this. It has features built in that allow you to put secure notes in there as well. So for example, I have the serial numbers for every piece of software I own available here. It allows you to put personal information like bank accounts.
Yes.
I have VIN numbers for my car.
Here are my
as well as
credit cards,
healthcare
my checking
information. I even have
account.
copies of my passport with photos. Everything is secure in that same one password, all in one app. And it is probably the most invaluable. I would say, again, I would agree with Glenn, and we hardly ever agree on anything.
It'll change your life. It's really handy.
It's one of those things that I would say that the learning curve on this is a little bit steep in the beginning because it just seems counterintuitive to the way that we've been conditioned to log in and not. But once you get past that, which is about a day or two, you'll be amazed at how you actually live with it.
It's not that like my wife, who is like a total Luddite. She hates everything technology. It literally took her a day, and then she uses it all the time now.
And we can do a demo on that later this afternoon if folks are interested, just to see it in depth.
Is there, I just have one question. If you use a computer that is not synced with your, say, if you use some random computer, you won't have access to those.
Yes, you actually can. There is a way to do that too. Peter, you wanna?
What you can do is you can log into one password, and then go in, and you have to manually click on, like say Amazon, click on what the password is, copy that, and paste it in if you wanted to into a non-secure.
Yeah, you just go to a website because it actually uploads. All your passwords are kept in this crazy, super secure place, but it's on the web. It's all in the cloud. So even if you're on a random computer, you can log into the website with your single
But
password.
if you do that, it is a few more steps. It can be done, and that's the most important.
I'm sure. So you'll see in the links there are 3 things we've got there. We've got 1Password, RoboForm, and LastPass. Those are the 3 most popular. They all do the same thing. They all do, literally, it's the exact same thing. PC people tend to like RoboForm a little more than 1Password. 1Password is a Mac. It seems to be a little more Mac friendly, but and LastPass I haven't used. It looks like it's really good for both. So I think it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. They all offer you 30-day free versions of them, so you can just try one for free and see if you like it or not, and ditch it.
1Password is actually free up to a certain number of logins, so it's not even a time-sensitive thing. If you've only got like 5 logins, you can use 1Password for free forever. It's once you get to a certain number of passwords you want it to store that you can pay.
Awesome.
How much is it cost?
I think it's $20. It might be less.
It says $49.99.
1Password is really $49.99.
With 100% money back guarantee.
That's gotten a lot more. It's a license. It's not an annual subscription. To me, it's totally worth it. Mike?
You can get a lot of free password management functionality out of keychain in macOS and also Google Chrome. That allows you to do password management.
You can, but I think one of the things I like about these applications is they sync across all of your various devices too, right? I mean, I agree. You're absolutely right. And in particular, if you're tech savvy, I think those things are. But if you want something that kind of works out of the box, I like the apps. Dropbox. I just show of hands, how many people here use Dropbox? Okay. So super quick. Dropbox is literally a folder that gets placed on your computer. When you put files into that folder, it copies them up into the cloud and puts them on Dropbox's servers, wherever they are in Magic Cloud Land. And then any other computer you have, which also has your Dropbox folder on it, like the one in your house, will get those files copied automatically back down to it. So you can think of it as a cloud-based storage place for your files but also a place in which you have synced files across multiple computers. So if you're working on a paper in your office and you keep that paper in your Dropbox folder, you hit save. When you get home, you open it up on your home computer, it's exactly where you left off in the office. And even better, when it's up there in the cloud, you can hit a little button which will give you a link to that file, and you can send that link to somebody else to see your file. So if you want a piece of music you want your students to hear, you put it up in Dropbox, you grab the link, you send that link to your students, they can all hear that file. Dropbox and Google Drive are the exact same thing for the most part. They're both accessible from your phone, they're both accessible from your pad. One of the things Dropbox does, it actually links with 1Password. So 1Password keeps your 1Password file actually in Dropbox. Dropbox has some really interesting synchronization features that we can talk about.
What was the other one besides Dropbox? You said?
So Dropbox,
Google Drive.
yeah, Google Drive, those are the two big ones. If you look further down on our list when we get there, there actually are other competitors that offer more space than Dropbox. So Box.net is one that I like a lot. There's other ones that give you, like A Drive gives you 50 gigabytes of space, if you can imagine that. 50 gigabytes, free, totally free. And some of these cloud storage providers, you can think of them not only as a place to store your files, but what they also serve as is backups for your computer. So you can actually set up your My Documents on your computer to automatically back up to these cloud storage places. So if your computer ever gets hosed, you're fine, right? You've backed up the files you need. Or if you need to access your My Documents when you're on the road or you're not near your computer, if you're using something like Dropbox or Box or any of these other services, you can just go onto a computer at the Hilton, log into Dropbox, go into your My Documents, and access any of the files that you want.
Okay, I'm gonna talk really quickly about an application called Evernote. It's a note-taking application. The big advantage of Evernote over other things that you might use is that it syncs between all of your devices. So I have an iPhone. So if I go to a meeting and I launch Evernote on my phone and I take notes on my phone, then when I come home or when I get back to my laptop, I start up Evernote, and those notes that I took, they automatically sync. Those notes that I took are going to be in Evernote on my computer. They're going to be in any place that I go. And this has become really indispensable for me, for note taking. The great thing is that you can do not only text, but you can also add pictures. Like for instance, if I want to take this picture here, this is so if I take this, if I drag it over to Evernote and then I click plus, it puts the picture into the notes, and then I can annotate it. I can add the notes, notch. That's the guy that invented the video game Minecraft, which I'm putting up here because my son I feel very proud that my son wrote his 3rd grade biography project on Notch, which I thought was pretty awesome. I also tweeted him and he tweeted me back, which is why I want to make sure that we get into Twitter, because my son in the 3rd grade was able, this guy's one of his heroes because he loves Minecraft so much, he was able to actually have a little conversation with the guy. So it's like, you get that kind of through Twitter, but I love Evernote because I don't have to worry about where's the file, and this is with notes, and I don't have to worry about having a laptop or something to write with when I walk into a meeting. I've got my phone, I can take the notes on my phone, and then I've got it everywhere else that I go, on the iPad or any place that I want to go. Yeah?
Yeah, I love Evernote too. Whenever you're surfing, you just click on the Evernote,
Yep.
and it just takes a picture of that.
It takes a picture of the web page and puts it right in there with a link. You get back to it. You can use it in place of all sorts of things, not only note-taking, but also it's almost kind of a bookmarking app. You can use it that way.
Yep.
And it makes your online life a lot kind of easier and more seamless.
So you see how in his web browser he's got the little elephant button at the top? That means when he goes to any web page, if he clicks the little Evernote elephant button, it saves that whole web page to his Evernote notebook.
So yeah, I would advise everybody, this is the one app here that I would advise everybody to just check it out, because it just makes everything work really well.
How does it arrange your notes? Like chronologically, alphabetically?
You can sort.
You can sort them how you want to.
Decide how you want
Or
to sort.
search?
Yeah.
You name your notebook, so you start up a new notebook and you name it. Like, so when I go to a conference, I'll name it whatever, ACRL 2013, and then all the notes I've got from that conference are in that notebook, and I subdivide and take pictures. You can take a picture off your phone and add it.
But it's totally searchable. Like me, I'm, as you might gather by this, very, very unorganized. So like I say I'm going to tag things and organize them, but I don't. But Evernote just, it indexes everything. You just search on a word, and it'll find those notes for you. And what's even cooler is with your pictures, if you take pictures of something that has text, it does optical character recognition of that text. And so you can actually search on a word that's in a picture that you took, and Evernote will find it for you.
So if our students are doing this in class, they're actually taking notes on Evernote, is that right?
Yeah, it's by far the most popular note-taking app. I'm sure that's what they're doing in your class. Yeah. All right, switching back here. I'm going to talk about Chrome plugin called Awesome Screenshot, but it really is a class of applications, so you don't literally have to use the one that you're about to see here. But one of the things that we get asked a lot in the LTSI is, how do I just capture a picture that I'm looking at on my screen and show it to my students? And this is you don't, and I'll tell you why here in a second.
What's the name of it?
Awesome Screenshot. Sorry, there we go. So now let's imagine that I am looking at a web page. Here's a CNN story this morning, and there's a picture of Fort Hood, and I want my students to see that thing I found on the web. I can click this button in my browser here that you can see called Awesome Screenshot, capture and annotate. I can capture just the visible part of the page, the entire page I'm looking at, or a selected area. I pick a selected area, I click the capture button, and this comes up. I can actually then make a little arrow, like, hey, look at that. Oh, look at that. And I can put some text on it, like, this is really important here. And I can crop it, because I didn't cut it really well. And I'll crop it like that. And then I'll click done. And then it gives me the option of saving it temporarily onto my Google Drive. Connects with your Google. Save it as a file to my desktop or print it. I often use temporarily because it's just what it creates is a 3-day link. So it automatically uploads it to their website for 3 days. And it creates this link here, and then I can just take that link and send it to somebody. Like, oh, here's what I wanted to show you. There's the link. Or you could tweet it and, blah, 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 the whole social media stuff, right? Awesome Screenshot is what's called a Chrome extension. So if you use Chrome as your browser, you can go to the Chrome extension store, which we're going to talk about a little bit in about 10-15 minutes, and you can get these things that modify Chrome, your browser. There's some super, super cool ones, really cool ones. Like, actually, 1Password has one, and a lot of these apps, there's the Evernote Elephant that you saw in Andy's browser is a plugin for Chrome. So this is a Chrome plugin. Whether you use Firefox or Chrome, you can get plugins that do this. Safari does not have is that right? I don't use Safari, so I don't think Safari has an extension store, so you can't do this with Safari, but you can do it with Firefox or with Chrome. And if you just literally go to the extension store and you search on screenshots, there's a lot of different apps that do this. I like Awesome Screenshot, but there are other ones that do it. One of the reasons I like it, we're going to come back to it, is that it's part of Digo, which is a social bookmarking service. So it actually connects up with another thing we're going to show you here in a little bit. All right, last one I'm going to show you here, then we're going to switch over to Jason, is an application called Mighty Text. I'm showing this to you as an example for those of you who have Android phones, because Mighty Text is an Android application. There are versions of this for iPhones and things that your gurus can tell you about. The reason I want to show you this is because I find as a productivity tool, this is awesome. What it does is it takes text messages and it brings them to your desktop. So instead of having to answer text messages on your phone, which you might have to type lots of things and your thumb gets tired, or you don't have your phone with you, or it interrupts what you do, it literally makes it a desktop application. So It's a free thing. I download it onto my phone, and what this is literally doing, and let me see if I can do one here to Lisa. So I'll send a text message to Lisa Santucci. Are you in the back there, Lisa?
Yeah.
Yo. And I type it, and it gets sent to Lisa. I'll click on her there.
Hope there's nothing else in there.
I was looking, I hope there's nothing we were saying that we don't want to show people. Invite Millard. You can say that. So, go ahead, can you text back to me, Lisa? So I'm typing this on my computer. What it's literally doing is going over the internet to my phone and sending it as a text message from my phone. So it only works if my phone's turned on. It's kind of like tethering my text message functionality on my phone to my computer, and it gives, and then what this does is it sort of pops up. Did you reply yet, Lisa? Okay. It sometimes takes a minute. But when it connects back up again, I'll actually get a little announcement thing up at the top that says, no, I brought my little red scooter thingy in today. Thank you.
Len, so,
Oh yeah, see, this will pop up and interrupt whatever you're doing.
oh, okay, that was my question.
Yes, you don't need to refresh it or anything, it'll just come up.
So you could be emailing, working on a document, and boom.
Yeah. Yeah, I love Mighty Text. There's other things like it. Actually, iOS has a thing that works with Apple and iPhone that does a similar sort of thing, and your guru can tell you about it. You're up.
Okay, so you might be wondering, how the hell do we keep track of all this stuff? How do we learn about all this stuff? Yeah, go ahead and go to my computer. I think we all have different ways that we go about learning about this type of information. Rarely do I actually use Google to search anything anymore. I have these apps that basically send information to me based on my interests, okay? I have my phone up here. I'm going to talk about two apps that I use on a day-to-day basis. The first is Zeit. I'm going to pull it up right now. Zeit, you create an account on Zeit. This is a mobile-only app, okay?
So that was my question. Is it mobile only?
Yes. It works iOS, Windows Phone, Android, all of those, okay?
How are we seeing your phone?
Oh, this is Reflector. I know. I thought this was going to be the coolest part of the presentation today. But yeah, it's a software called Reflector for the Mac. You create an account. You basically say these are the types of things I'm interested in, such as arts and culture, business, film and TV. Then you can actually search for specific things like I'm interested in marathon running or barefoot running, which I'm not actually. I don't know why that's up there. Backpacking. So you create basically a personality based on your interest. Then you also connect it to Twitter. It has a really good artificial intelligence. So it sees who you follow on Twitter, what they're tweeting about, the articles that they're tweeting about, and then it basically builds. It finds really what it thinks is the best or the most pertinent or relevant article that you're not just one article, but several articles. And so it's coming from TechCrunch, Read Write Web, Boing Boing, and almost every one of these is pertinent to me. I mean, I come in here and I always find something that's useful for me. Okay, and then you can click on one of these titles here. It makes it really easy to read. And then if I want, what I can do is, this is what I typically do is, I'll tweet directly from here if I want other people to find out about it. I do that every day. The other thing I do is I add to Pocket, which is what I'm going to show you next. Pocket is essentially, we used to talk a lot about a software called Delicious, which was a social bookmarking tool, a way to sort of keep track of everything that you find on the web in a web-based spot instead of just your computer. Well, Delicious doesn't really exist anymore. Digo has taken over in a lot of respects. Pocket is a similar tool, a place to save content that you find on the web. So I just saved that to my Pocket. Let's see here. Let's see if it's already up. As you can see, the real cost of self-publishing a book is now in my Pocket. I can see that on my phone. I can see that on the Get Pocket website.
So what Pocket's doing that's different, it may not be obvious how this is different than what he was just showing you with Zeit. Zeit is giving you links to websites. Pocket
Articles.
saves the article, it essentially downloads a copy of it onto your phone or onto your computer or into Pocket space so that you can read it later. So whether or not that still exists doesn't even matter. It literally saves the article for reading later. So even if you don't have internet access, you can actually read your Pocket articles on your phone or on your computer.
And it also optimizes it for looking at it on the phone, so you can make the text bigger.
Right, I can change the text size here. I can change the actual font from a serif to a sans serif font.
Change background color.
Yeah.
And make the background kind of yellowish.
And then if we switch, I'm just going to quickly switch over to this laptop here and show you. There's an extension, a Pocket extension for Chrome. I'm sure one exists for Firefox as well. So if you find a website that you're interested in, you click on this Pocket button. It automatically saves it to your Pocket.
And you can search Pocket, right? You can search for words. So like I'm constantly finding articles, right? You're browsing the web. It's the world of like limited attention span. And so you see articles you like and you don't have time to look at it. You just hit your Pocket button. Later, you go in and you're like, what was that article about, marshmallows? And you just search the word marshmallow, and it finds that article for you, and you can read it. Yeah. Okay. Can you switch over to my computer? Yep. I'm going to show you two related things to that, because they're similar sorts of read it later functionality. We find that faculty really like this, largely because we see things that we want to use for our research, things we want to show to our students, things we don't have time to look at. And we want to capture that, remember to look at it and read it later, and possibly even show it to our students. Or, even going farther, ask our students to find things that are out there on the internet, curate them, save them in some way that they can share them with the rest of the students. The kind of features that we're talking about here are all related to that. So if we take the model that Pocket has one step further, I'm going to show you what's called an RSS reader. So RSS, doesn't matter what it stands for. People argue about it. But what it is whenever you go to a website, there's a little kind of a secret, think of it as like a high frequency message coming from the website that you can't hear and only dogs can hear. That's what an RSS feed is. It's this little thing you can't actually see. And what it's broadcasting is the headlines and the summary of each article on that website. And almost every website out there has these RSS feeds. It's a thing that's built into web systems. So everything from the New York Times to the journals that you subscribe to the blogs that you follow, they all have this thing called an RSS feed, which is broadcasting the headings and the first bits of all of the articles on that site. Now, what you can do is subscribe to an RSS feed. And what that means is you want to collect those headlines to see whether or not you want to actually read those stories. And RSS readers are aggregators of RSS feeds. So let me describe what mine is, and it may help you here. So I teach social media marketing. So there's all these websites that talk about social media marketing that put up blog posts all the time, every day, every minute there's another article or more. I can't keep up with it. So what I do is I put them together into this RSS reader. And one way to think about this is it's kind of like a personalized newspaper. It takes the headlines from all the websites and blogs that you follow, and it puts them together like it's a newspaper. And then I can click on it, and I could save it, I could share it, I can read it, I can read this from my phone. And so you can think about this as a way of curating the internet. Right? It's amazingly powerful. So all the blogs that you read, all the websites you go to every day, you don't need to go to them. All you need to do is collect the RSS feeds, and your guru will show you how to do it. It's really crazy easy to do. Collect the RSS feeds, put them all together, and then you can just go to one thing every day and see all the headlines from all the things that you normally look at. From CNN, the Washington Post, and those things, to, cat blogs, to whatever it is you're into, you curate it. Now, what you can then also do is share those curated sets of lists. So like with my students, I actually have them put together curated RSS feeds on the things that they're researching. So if a student's doing a paper on, the Civil War, great battles of the Civil War, they actually will go find blogs about the Civil War and Civil War memorabilia websites, and they'll they'll find all these bits and pieces, curate it all together, and create a feed of information around that, and then potentially use that. You think of it as like a live bibliography in a weird way, right? So they can share that with other students, they can share that with you, and in many ways this is how I co-create content with my students. We're collectively building a live textbook on social media marketing. That's what this is a live textbook in some senses. Feedly is what I'm using here. Google Reader used to be the one I talked about, and then Google just announced they're going to close it. Bastards. And so Feedly is kind of the one everyone talks about, but if you actually go down to the RSS Reader section of the long document there's a bunch of other ones, or at least a couple others that we put out there for you. The other one, can you click the Digo tab? Yes, Deb.
Is it predictive, like it will suggest other things you might be interested in?
I don't know if Feedly does that. That's a really good question. It should. Yeah.
It's Feedly.com and it's a free site?
Totally free. Yeah. In fact, if you have a Google Reader site, Feedly will just import it because Google, they're trying to get all the Google people in. But yeah, you just hit a button and it adds it to Feedly. And then you look at it in your browser, your apps, your phone. Yeah.
So how is this different than something like Zeit?
So what Zeit does, Zeit is more predictive. Like you say, here are the topics I'm interested in. Pulse is another one. I use Pulse, which is a lot like Zeit. It goes and finds things and thinks you might be interested in. Feedly and RSS readers, you actually say, these are the websites I want to keep track of. And you literally tell it what to find. So that's the big difference. Otherwise, they're actually very, very similar. So the last thing that's in this category is what's called social bookmarking. Social bookmarking, the way to think of this is that when you find a website you like and you bookmark it, in Safari or whatever you're using, Chrome, that kind of thing, right? Your bookmarks are there on your computer. You with me? Yes. Okay. So what these services are is a way to think of it is instead of your bookmarks being saved on your computer, your bookmarks get saved to the cloud. And they can be shared. So, and obviously this is an opt-in thing, right? It doesn't share all your bookmarks. So when you sign up to a service like Digo, and in fact Digo has an entire thing just for teachers. They're very proactive with education. So you can see it says Teacher Console. You can create, it has all these features to just register your students and close it down so it's not really public. And you can spend some time with your guru on this if you think this is interesting. But the idea is that whenever you find a website, kind of like I was talking about with Feedly, except Feedly bookmarks it and only you see it. This bookmarks it and it can be shared with other people. So it is about social bookmarking. That's the title, social bookmarking. And services like Digo let you do more than just bookmark. You can actually annotate. So if this is something that I've bookmarked within Digo, it has functionality. This is going to take longer than I want. But you can actually highlight things within an article with a highlighter and leave notes on it. And then when your students go look at the article, they actually see your highlighting and your notes. It saves the entire thing. So I think it works really well for the classroom. It's a little clunkier. It's got, I think, a little more of a learning curve than some of these other things, but in that same category. Next up. All right. Yeah, I want to do this super fast. I'm not literally going to show this. I'm just going to talk about it.
So, that assignment that you have for your students where you have them kind of assemble their RSS feed, et cetera, the way I do my exams, they have to pull from a number of sites. If I put that in there for them, could I copy like a screen page of that? Do I share my...
Let's talk a little about that during the break, because
Okay.
there's a lot of different options. It can get complicated, but I mean, none of them are complicated. I just don't want to run through it right now. In the interest.
But it's possible.
Absolutely. All right, we're now into the apps that require more technology part. I'm going to go faster through this, which is, I know, counterintuitive since these are the more complicated things, but just because we can spend more time on this. The first two that I have on there are Jacksta and Audio Hijack Pro. And I'm just going to ask Joe Baisley to just stick his fingers in his ears for the moment while I talk about these two.
Just tell me it's academic freedom, Glenn.
So Jacksta and Audio Hijack Pro are two apps that I use on my Mac. There are PC versions of them, so don't worry so much about the literal name of the application as much as the category. So Jacksta, as you see, is running here, this app that I bought. Now notice what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to YouTube, and I'm going to run the video of the cat riding the Roomba dressed as a dragon. Okay? So we're going to skip the ad, 3, 2, 1. Skip ad. All right. So I have found this video, and I want to share it with my students, okay? The question we often get is, how can I do that? Notice I can add it to Wunderlist, which is super cool. But you can't download it. At least that's what YouTube tells you. What JAXTA is doing here is grabbing it for me in the background. JAXTA runs. I told you, just cover your ears. It's sort of, think of it as kind of a little filter. So any streaming video from anywhere, any place that streams video, comes into your computer. JAXTA hijacks that and it records it. And so any place that is streaming video, JAXTA will record that for you and download it onto your computer as a file that you can reuse. Awesomely cool. Audio Hijack Pro does the same thing except with audio. So if you're listening to some streaming podcast, if you're listening to some streaming music, which you want to use for academic purposes, it grabs that and it saves it down to your hard drive. There are various applications that do that. Audacity is on all of these computers. Audacity is the high-end version of what Jason showed you, of SoundCloud. So Audacity is a free application that does pretty complex audio editing. Like you can literally, mix waveforms and stretch time and do all sorts of amazingly complex and cool things. Last two things I'm going to show you on this list, and then we're going to go to Twitter, are both Gmail plugins. As we move to Gmail, one of the things that people have not been taking advantage of is that Gmail is actually highly customizable. And most of you, I suspect, are just using Gmail the way Miami rolled it out to you. You can actually add things into it and change it. For example, even within Google's functionality, like I'm going to send an email here to Lisa, and I'm going to be really mad at her. I'm going to say, you suck. I hate you. And I'm really mad. I set up this thing. Look what it says at the top here. Undo. I have 12 seconds to pull that back.
You better.
Like right after you send it, how many times do you send an email and right after you send it, you're like, oh shit, I forgot to CC someone, or I needed to. You can add that on with your Google preferences, a thing that delays the sending of it and lets you undo it.
Under preferences,
Right, it's in your preferences.
Better do something about those missing grades. That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's for my faculty, not me. It's my faculty, I swear. So there are two plugins that I use fairly regularly that I like a lot. The first is called Reportive, and I'm going to pick on, I'm trying to find someone who's going to have something useful here. Look what happens when I pull up an email from my student, Ben Parks. Look what's on the right here. It shows me his picture, it gives me his Twitter handle, and I can click this button and automatically follow him. These are his most recent tweets. I can add him as a friend on Facebook, LinkedIn, Google Contacts, compose an email to him. Everyone that I get emails from, it does this for. So even like people who are not my students, I'm like trying to be really careful when I show up here. So let's see, who's like not at Miami here? Here's Rafael Fajardo. He's a professor at Denver. I get his picture. Like complete strangers, I'll see their pictures on that. It's called Reportive. It pulls it all from social media. It's a plugin, a free plugin to Gmail. The other one I use is Boomerang.
What was the name of that?
Reportive. It's on the list under App Comfortable, RAPP. There's a link to it. If I want to send an email to Lisa, and I want to say, you suck, I hate you, and I want to make it happen after I quit, I can now, with this plugin called Boomerang, I can click Send Later, and have the email get sent at some point in time in the future.
You're out of the country.
Right, exactly. And not only that, let's say I get an email, like I got this one from Patricia McNabb a moment ago, right? When I'm reading this email, where's my boomerang on? Why does it not come up like that? It usually does. Let me try to find another email. Well, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to tell you what it does because it'll take me too long to find the little buttons. But what it will do, you can track an email to see whether or not someone responds to you in a period of time. So what Boomerang does, it literally boomerangs it back. So when you send an email to someone, and you know, like for me, my to-do list are my emails. Like I send it to you, and then I wait for you to send it back to remember I need to do that. Boomerang, you can set it up so that if you don't respond in X days, it sends it back to me automatically and says that Mariana has not replied to my email. So it prompts me when people don't respond to my emails, which I find amazingly handy.
And that one's called
Boomerang. Oh, here it is. I was looking in the wrong place. See Boomerang on the top right there.
So if you say send these all at 3 o'clock today,
it will
you
send,
can cancel things in between?
Yep. Yep, you can cancel it before it goes. So when I'm looking at an email, I can say Boomerang and say, return me to this conversation. Click on that only if nobody responds, or just return me to it no matter what, in a certain period of time.
Yeah, there must be. Well,
Right, which is crazy handy.
Boomerang's great.
All right, I think we're ready to talk about Twitter. Yeah, okay.
All right, we're probably going to take the rest of the time, close to the rest of the time, to talk about Twitter and the ways in which we can use Twitter in the classroom. The first time that I was involved in LTSI in 2007, Twitter existed, but barely anybody used it. And as we track this over time, we see our students here. There's been a large increase in the number of students that have adopted Twitter. And I've never had a problem with people using Twitter for classroom purposes. So I'm going to talk about different ways in which this can be done. But first of all, a little bit basic. How many of you guys are on Twitter? We're getting actually a higher number. Every year it's more and more people are on Twitter, but I'm going to still go over the basics of how this kind of works. What you do is basically you send really quick 140 character little text messages and you follow other people. So this is my Twitter stream. Katie's been tweeting about stuff. She's right there. There are other people I follow. Most of them I don't know. A lot of these people are like technology reporters. I will guarantee you that in your field there are lots of people who are actively tweeting about that subject matter. Especially, marketing. There's got to be a million people that are tweeting about that. Really good people. What I do, this is what I do at the beginning of the semester, right? Is I create a list of people. You can create lists in Twitter, and I make my students. If they don't have Twitter accounts, I make them sign up for Twitter. They can just ignore it when the semester's done if they don't want to touch it ever again. And I've created a list here of people. This is my IMS 201 list. So that has, I kept it short. It's got 29 people, and they can, if they go to it, they go to this. It's just twitter.com/AndyRebel/IMS201AR. They go here and they've got a button that says follow, and they can follow all of these people with one click, so that they've got this list and they're following them. Then I ask my students to follow these. They find stories in here, and then I ask them to do things with that, to grab that story, read something they find interesting, and respond to it in a blog post or something like that. Sometimes they even respond back to these people. You can get into conversations with people. What this does is this gets content outside of the classroom into your students' sort of lives. So you're getting your course content. It's like the holy grail of teaching, right? To get your students, when they're not in the classroom, to be actively engaging in course material. And this gets it, they're already in Twitter. This stuff is getting your course content into their Twitter stream is what happens. So they're seeing things related to your course tweeted by other people outside of the class. I also have, for my class, a course hashtag. And students have to find stories online and tweet a certain number of them. Hashtag. I'll explain in a second. So a hashtag is, like it's basically it's the number sign and then something specific to the course. Our hashtag for LTSI here is LTSI 2013. Or is it LTSI 13? It's LTSI 13. What this does is it allows you to take the tweets and sort of, I can search for that. And then I can see all of them in one place. So when I search for LTSI 13, I see all the things that people have tweeted with LTSI 13. My hashtag for my course is IMS201AR. So so my students are tweeting things and they're giving it that hashtag. I'm going in and checking to see that they do that. They're all searching and seeing the things that their classmates are tweeting. So what we're doing is we're having a conversation about course-related material using Twitter, which is, for the most of them, a social media service that they're already using, but we're having a conversation about course material and times that we're not in class. So anybody else can obviously jump in at any time. We all use this a lot, and this is how I use it. Of course, I think Ken uses it a little bit more different. Yeah, so
It's all closed, like everything that you do, your lists are closed and.
no, it's all public. Twitter is like standing on top of a building with a megaphone and screaming things out.
There is no private Twitter. I mean, there kind of sort of is, but it is not its best use.
So when you're doing the classroom, whatever they're sharing is public.
Yeah, but in some ways that's awesome. So like one of our faculty in IMS, he did a game in his game class. He was tweeting with the students, connecting them to industry people so they could ask them questions about their jobs. The hashtag he used for his class totally caught fire. It became a trending topic on Twitter. He had literally thousands and thousands of posts. They made T-shirts out of the hashtag IMS235 that people were selling because it became a public rallying cry around how people work in the industry. It's a longer story, but the point is it should be public. If you want to have a private conversation with your students, use email, use Nika. Have chats in WebEx or wherever you are. This is purely for public conversation.
So I let my students follow me, and mine is a mix between what's going on personally and what's going on professionally. And I always think about that when I'm posting something about, say, my third grader just got in touch with Marcus Person or whatever. How do you?
You can create a second Twitter account. One can be professional, one can be personal.
Yeah, you can have multiple personas, multiple Twitter accounts.
Okay, I do that.
Yeah, I have multiple ones.
I don't do that. I'm just out there. My students get to know me over the course of the semester.
Yeah, that's what I think. I keep it. I can have one account, and I'm cognizant of the fact that it is a public account, but I still want to be personable with my students. So if I see that they're talking about something that I relate to that's maybe outside of the class, I'll tweet back just to sort of build that sort of rapport in that space. That is a valuable space to sort of build that rapport in.
Yeah, they know I can speak Valley Girl now, and so.
Yeah.
How long do the tweets stay up there, or is it permanent?
They sort of fall off. They sort of fall off. If you search for it, you can most likely find it. Although it sort of falls off after a certain period of time.
But there are people, and actually the Library of Congress included, that are archiving everything that's ever been tweeted.
Yeah.
So it never disappears. I will say to Deb's point, and I'll get to you in a moment, Irene, I think this is important. We're not going to talk about Facebook today. We're not going to talk about a lot of things because we're running out of time, so we're going to talk some more later. But I think I speak for us here, but you guys jump in, or anyone else from the LTSI, anyone jump in. But that public-private thing, I think that's where Facebook gets really messy. And that's why I stay off of Facebook for my classes. I don't find Facebook to be... I both think just logistically it's not very productive and easy to use as a classroom tool, but I also think it violates that private-public space in a way that I'm not really comfortable with as far as the relationship with my students and their relationship with me. Everyone has their own rules for that. Actually, if a student wants to friend me on Facebook, I usually accept it because I don't put things on Facebook. You should never put anything on any of these services you don't want your grandmother to see because someone will find it. It is all findable. It never goes away. But Facebook is just, my problem is more with what I see of them. I don't want to see what they do.
I don't follow my students.
Right. But
I sometimes see things on Twitter. Sometimes my students post, and I'm just like, I didn't see that Green Beer Day tweet picture. I didn't see any of that.
But let me just show you, I want to show the listing. I want to follow up on what Andy was talking about. So give me a subject that you all study. Somebody just what's your area?
Marketing.
not marketing so easy. We've already done that.
Oh,
Journalism.
data viz?
Latin.
There's nothing out there.
All right. So, give me the name of a famous. Give me a name of a famous Latin scholar, or someone who would be famous. Leading. All right. So Greg, Nagy. Okay.
I just read an article about this guy's course at, I think I just read an
So there are going to be people here. So here's Harvard. Now here's the trick. So I'm finding something where they're talking about Greg here, clearly, and he's got a MOOC team, and they're doing something cool with. So Harvard Classics. Find one person that you want to follow. So let's go to the Harvard Classics page now. All right. This is a little more about them. Here's their page. This is not filling up well here. There's a thing called lists. And I can click on this and find lists that other people have curated that include Harvard Classics. So now here's a set of lists here's someone who's made classics. People who tweet classic stuff, but not necessarily all the time. Let's take a look at that one. There's 208 people on that list. Now, I've got a Twitter list about the classics.
Folks who are interested in that.
And these are things posted, how long ago are these? 2 minutes ago, 3 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago, 6 minutes ago. The classics, right?
I see that subscribe button. You can tell your students to all go there, subscribe to that, and then this stuff gets into their Twitter stream. So as they're reading their Twitter with tweets from their friends, they're going to see stuff about classics right there in their social stream. It's right into their conversation.
Right, so the lists are totally powerful, really powerful.
You went to twitter.com and you did a search.
I did a search. I found one person who I think is going to be on that list. That's the key. That's your little wedge. Find one person, go to their page, see what lists they are on, and then you're going to get the fire hose of all of the other people who other people have already curated and think are similar. But that's the best way to start getting into Twitter.
Another trick is to find like an influencer or somebody who is has a lot of cachet, and see who they're following and who's following them. That's also another way to find people and find content.
Yeah, so like journalists or that kind of thing, yeah, we could go on. So the thing about Twitter, I have this whole talk I do about how to use Twitter, and the way I always begin it is, the first thing that you should do on Twitter is listen. It freaks people out. They're like, who wants to, I ate a sandwich for breakfast, I don't want to do that kind of thing. You don't ever need to talk on Twitter. When you first get into Twitter, just listen. That is to me the greatest value of Twitter, is listen. Find the right people to listen to, group them together, start paying attention, and what you will find is this becomes the news for you. This and Reddit are pretty much where I follow everything that's happening in the world. I mean, everything breaks on Twitter before it breaks anywhere else, and if you just kind of group things and organize them, the problem is Twitter is just like this massive, it's not even a river of information, right? It's this fast-moving ocean, and so it's constantly going. And the trick, there's this great quote, I mentioned Clay Shirky at my opening presentation, one of my favorite quotes. He said, the problem today with all of this stuff is not information overload, the problem is filter failure. That's the problem, right? So any of these tools that you can create that allow filters so you can see what you need to see when you need to see it, that's really a useful tool for you. Anything else you want to add about Twitter? All right, we've got like 5 minutes and a lot of other things we're going to talk about. Yeah.
Did you talk about creating a hashtag if we want to do this for our courses?
You just start typing, you just type it.
You just make it. Hashtags are called it's a folksonomy. You just make them up. You make up whatever hashtag you want.
Just make sure all the students are using the same one. So you give them the hashtag and just tell them to add that to all of their tweets, and then you can just search for that, and then you see everything that your class is tweeting.
You may want to search on that hashtag to see if it's not being used elsewhere in a different context. That might just
make sure it comes up blank.
Yeah,
you don't want to use.
We have one. LTSI has.
Yeah.
We've been
tweeting on it a little bit. Yeah.
Irene, I know you had a question
It doesn't
before.
matter, but actually, I think it's pertinent to what you were just saying. So I would like to have my students start following on them to follow authors, but I'd like to use those tweets in class. So can they will get different authors sending them tweets. can they copy those tweets or somehow send them on to the course hashtag?
So if you click on more here, next to it, if you're in Twitter, so I'm clicking on more, notice the option comes up to email the tweet or embed the tweet, and so that literally will create a unique link that only brings up that tweet. And then you can put that tweet literally, you were just asking about embedding, right? You could embed that tweet physically in one of your Nika sites where you literally see the tweet kind of called out, like you sometimes see on
So I
websites.
want everyone, every class period, to post one tweet they received from an author, and then we can discuss them in class.
Yeah.
So
they
I can do that.
Yeah, you absolutely can do this. This creates a unique link to the tweet.
Thank you.
Other Twitter questions? Yes?
I have a question. So are you able to see all of your students' tweets if they're following you, so you can see everything? Like if they tweet 100 times a day, you're going to see 100 things.
Yes, you can actually see tweets whether or not they're following you. That's the thing about Twitter.
Okay.
But yes.
So you're going to have to filter to figure out what's about. Can you speak louder, please? I'm sorry.
The question was, can you see your students' tweets no matter what they tweet? And if they do, is it a problem that they're constantly tweeting and you're going to have lots of noise?
Right.
Absolutely. So Twitter, where it works best, because Twitter is, like I said, it's this constant stream of crap, right? I mean, it's just constant. So if you want to have like a more contained conversation, Twitter is not a good place for that. Just because it is constantly moving and it's a lot of noise. Twitter is good for sort of a quick hit and miss. So you can make a Twitter list of all of your students, and then when you click on that list in Twitter, it concatenates all of their tweets into like one stream. But with 30 students who are tweeting a lot, you can have hundreds and hundreds of tweets a day, and you may miss something. So if you want a more contained conversation, that's where like a forum and discussion board is a little better because it has a little more history, it's a little more contained. So, right tool for the right job kind of thing.
Do you ever get a student who asks you a question about, like they tweet you a question about class instead of emailing you and you miss it, so.
Sometimes that happens, yeah.
So you have to be clear with them on how to get you, if it's
Right.
a question about class, use this format.
Yeah, absolutely. You need to let them know if you tweet to me, I may miss it.
Right.
And so you may want to. But where Twitter's good, so here's an example, like Rosemary Ward uses Twitter in her classroom where they're tweeting live questions while class is going on. So she pulls up the Twitter list. The Twitter list is up here, and she's lecturing and doing her thing, and then she gets questions from the students, and they can actually see each other's questions. Some of them answer other questions live, so she doesn't even answer them. That's where that kind of thing is really useful for question and answer.
I suppose you could do the same thing if you're online. You could have them tweet while they're watching your presentation, right? And
Yeah.
that would create the same sort of effect.
Absolutely, right? It's a live interchange of and that live, synchronous nature of it gets played out. Great idea.
Yeah, and you see the "This sucks, I hate you" right there. So that's
Great.
All right. So there's a bunch of other things gold starred, and we're barely scratching the surface. I want to talk about a couple of them with you now. When we have the whatever you want session later today, one of the options you'll have is to come back in here, and we're going to continue going through this list and hit all the ones that we missed. And so we'll be able to spend more time on those. Some of them we did want to make sure we mentioned, and I'm just going to say what they are, and we can talk about them with your people. Ustream, USTREAM, is a live video streaming app that you can get for your phone, or actually it'll work on your computer as well, or your iPad. It lets you do live video streaming potentially, well, to anyone, right, but to your students, right? So, you're at, I don't know, Mary Jane is actually in Haiti, doing something with her research. She can pull, assuming the internet is fast enough and everything where she is, she pulls out her phone and she can actually show live video of what she's doing. And her students log on to Ustream and they can watch that live video. Ustream is entirely free.
Why you?
The letter U, STRAM.
What is it under?
It's such a long list I don't even remember.
No
But
E in there?
it's in there. It's one of the gold starred ones, Ustream.
Oh, okay. That's good enough.
Aviary, A-V-I-R-Y. Aviary is one of the, if you look at the gold stars next to Aviary, there's a couple other ones like it. It's image editing. Like you want to do Photoshop stuff like cropping and making it black and white, doing filters and that kind of thing. Aviary is a free web-based tool that does photo editing. You don't need any software. It runs in your browser. That is, it runs in Internet Explorer, whatever you're using, and you just open it and you just follow what it says. It's really point and click. And you can edit your pictures, and you can upload your pictures and do that type of thing. I know. Hold on. Poll everywhere. Can you pull that one up really quick? Because that's one you all asked for. I know. We started 5 minutes late. Poll everywhere is something you all asked for in your survey. We wanted to talk a little about. Again, your guru can help you. Poll everywhere is not coming up here. You gotta switch the laptop here. Poll everywhere lets you do live voting and polling with your students in the classroom. It's a free tool. They have an education license thing, in fact, that lets you get a little more than the free. You get a little more functionality than the average bear gets if you show them that you're a professor, a teacher. But what it lets you do is the black thing. There we go. So, you don't need to know anything. It's totally point and click. So Jason set this up. What's been your favorite piece of technology so far? Now, you can reply to this on the website by going to this web address, so right now, or you can text message, or you can tweet. So go ahead and somebody do that.
Probably the easiest one is just to go to this website, pollev.com/MUlibrary. But if you have Twitter, you can pull up your mobile device and type in @poll with that number, and then you can type any whatever your favorite piece of technology is. What's that? Yeah, there's a space between it.
pollev.com/MUlibraries. Now, he could have set this up as multiple choice.
Yep.
So you literally just text number 1, 2, or 3 if it's a multiple choice poll.
Yep.
So it doesn't have to be an open-ended question. You can do all types of polling and questioning. He just did the simplest one here. As people respond, the answers are going to show up live here. Has anybody responded yet?
Mine gave me a piece of pie.
Yeah.
Is there something more than
You have to sign in on the left upper corner.
Thank
No, you shouldn't have to sign in.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
I just scanned
Refresh
it.
the page. You should see it now.
There you go.
No, I don't.
So as people respond, it literally will show up here. Or if you do a poll with choose number 1, 2, or 3, it'll have a bar chart here that gets live updated, showing you how the voting is occurring in real time.
Did it say? Sorry, so where is it? Oh, bingo.
I'll show you a quick. I'll stop the first. Actually, going to stop the poll now, and I'll show you a quick multiple choice. Okay, which entity can exist without the other? World Wide Web or the Internet? This is a test. This is a test now. Again, you can go to the same website. If you refresh the page, you're going to see a different question.
So refresh the page on your browser, and somebody vote here so we see. This will happen live as you all are voting. And what's even cool is, see it says download a slide? It actually gives you a little bit of code that you can pull into a PowerPoint presentation. And all this, as a live document, can be in your PowerPoint presentation. So as you're doing your PowerPoint, people can vote on things during a live presentation, and you see live updating of it.
So it's free up to, I think you can have up to 40 people voting on something at a time. After that, you'll have to get some sort of account. Our library has an account. So.
Can we go through the library to get that?
No.
Sorry.
But you can. The free account's good enough for what you want to do.
Yeah.
The free account will do everything you want to do in the classroom. And if you ask for the education account, you can get even more. But you don't need to use someone else's account. You're good.
We're going to do an old-fashioned poll. How many people need a bathroom break?
Okay, 28090.
All right, so let's do that. I just want to say 69% of you, not correct. So we need to talk about that.
So our advice about how to keep going here is A, take the list that we had for this site, look at the gold star ones, and experiment. Just click on them and read what they do. B, hang out for our session later on this afternoon and we'll go through the rest of these with you.